This is an egg, right? And then this is this is an egg. So a Scotch egg is something you usually buy at the shop, and they're usually quite shit. They're cold, their eggs kind of chalky and overcooked. What we want to do is make a Scotch egg with a runny yolk, beautiful spicy sausage meat, and crispy breadcrumbs. It's super easy, and it starts with an egg. And when you soft-boil eggs, there's a little air pocket inside the shell at the bottom. So what I do is take a knife and a little pointy heel. We're just gonna make a little hole just to open that air pocket. Because if you drop it in without making a hole, the air will expand and it can like explode the egg, or you won't have a nice shape when you boil it. And with a Scotch egg, you want it to be nice and perfect. So you wanna flip the egg over, and then there's a little air pocket here. Take the heel of your knife and just tap there. So when you put it in the water, it doesn't blow up. And the shape of the white to be nice and predictable. So we've got our eggs, and we're gonna boil them for 5 minutes so they're nice and runny in the middle. We're on. Okay, so 5 minutes, coming out. See that? Hole's still there, egg hasn't exploded. Perfect. That's gonna stop them cooking. Gonna give them like 1 minute and then crack them, put them back in. So the egg is cool enough for me to hold. I'm just gonna start at the bottom and just work my way around the egg and then back into the water. So the eggs are chilling. We're gonna make the sausage mixture that's gonna wrap around those eggs before we breadcrumb it, deep fry it. So it starts with, these are plain pork sausages that I got from the shop, and what we're gonna do is add some spices, some garlic, some onions, just to give them a bit of life and a bit of punch. You can buy sausage, you can buy like a pack of sausage meat, but I couldn't find that. So what you do is you just buy regular pork sausages and just run your knife down the side, and then we just peel off the skin. That's all, you know, it's just one extra step, but if these are all you can find, no biggie. You can like break it up, pop that into the bowl, and just rattle through these. So just make a really small incision. So we're gonna make a little onion garlic spicy mix to make these a little more interesting. We're gonna start with an onion. I'm gonna dice this up. So the whole kind of seasoning mix is inspired by like deviled eggs, or the kind of they make like deviled kidneys. And it's basically smoked paprika or cayenne pepper, mustard, Tabasco, and Worcestershire sauce with some onions, garlic. Really savory, really spicy. Paste out of this, work it into the board, down. Before we fry the onion, we've got a nice dry pan. I'm gonna toast some spices. Fennel seeds, black pepper, whole spices. Just gonna bring out some fragrance. At medium heat, I can feel the heat on it. And after about 30 seconds, we'll be able to smell that. You can hear them crackling. Not too many of these, because we're gonna go in with other spices. The aroma goes from fresh fennel to like a toasty, nutty fennel, and the black pepper gets really fruity. So they're done. I mean, that took probably a minute. And if you're not careful, you can burn them, and you really don't want to burn them, because then you get a really bitter, well, burnt flavor. So I'm just gonna go in, tap them down to get this kind of flat surface, and then you can start going in circles. And once they're toasted, they want to grind a lot easier. So this is where I'm at. It's still like a nice coarse grind. There's still some good chunks of pepper and fennel in there. I mean, the black pepper especially, you can smell coming off this, and it kind of smells like beautiful fennel sausage already. So now spices are ready, we're gonna fry off the onion. Same pan, still nice and warm. Tiny bit of olive oil. We don't want loads of fat in there, because the sausages are already full of pork fat, but just enough to cook the onions. We don't want to put any colour on this really. We just want to sweat them down, make them nice and sweet. So the onions have got a little bit of a sweat on, so we're going to put the garlic in. So we're going to start adding some spices. So for the kind of deviled element, we'll start with Coleman's mustard powder. So mustard is a spice, so it comes in these little seeds. It doesn't come, you know, as a liquid, as a sauce. So before they add water and vinegar and all that bits and bobs, it looks like this. It's a powder. Quite a lot. This is pretty strong. We're gonna add a good tablespoon of mustard powder. We're also gonna add some sweet smoked paprika. You can get hot smoked, but we've got plenty of other spice going on. The mustard powder's really spicy. We're gonna add some Tabasco, some chili flake. We don't need that. So we're gonna do again about a tablespoon. It's gonna be real smoky as well. It's lovely. Good color. Straight in. Then we're gonna go back to the fennel and black pepper. About the same again. So a good tablespoon, yeah? And that already is smelling fucking amazing. There's loads of the spices and bits of garlic and onion catching on the bottom. So what we're gonna do is use this is Liam Perrins, the humble Liam Perrins, to deglaze the pan. And this is pretty key for any like deviled recipe, deviled kidneys, deviled eggs, whatever, because it's super savory product. It's made with loads of anchovies, vegetables, vinegar, molasses, there's tamarind in it, so it's really deep, funky, sour. So we're gonna just add maybe 2 tablespoons of this into the hot pan. And to finish it, I don't really want to cook this because you will lose some of the kind of fresh, funky acidity of it. But this is Tabasco. You will have all seen this before. It's the best hot sauce in the world. This costs £1. Amazing. So we're just going to do maybe 3 dashes. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just stir that through, and then what we've got here now is this beautiful, spicy, funky, sweet paste. We're going to add that to the sausages, and it's just going to completely level them up, because at the moment they're just plain pork sausages. Add that and you've got a kind of deviled, spicy, beautiful Scotch egg. Always start with less than you think you need, because you can always add more, but once it's in, you can't get it back. So we're going to start with half, roughly. This is going to get really sticky, and that's what you want, especially when you're making a Scotch egg, because it's going to hold everything together. And it's going to make, when we wrap that boiled egg in sausage meat, you want everything to be nice and tight. Myosin is when you're mixing meat like this, all these proteins are kind of agitated and rubbing together. They exude something called myosin, and it creates a myosin bind. So if you see here, all of this meat sticking together, and if I grab a piece and stick it to my hand, the test is, if there's enough myosin, if I can do that and it doesn't fall off my hand, because it's stuck. So now I know that there's enough of a bind going for this to be a really delicious sausage. And when you get a bind like this and you cook it, it holds onto moisture. So it's going to be really, really juicy as well, which is the goal. So we've got our eggs, little eggs. This is the little rig. We've got flour, egg, breadcrumb, our deviled sausage mix, and the soft-boiled egg. So for this egg, this is quite a slippery little devil. We want to just roll it in some flour, and that's going to help the sausage stick to it. To stop it sticking to your hands, I'm also going to take this ring off. You're going to dip your hands in water, so you just want it slightly wet. Let's take a good layer of this, and we're going to spread it onto our hand like that. There's no exact science to this. You kind of just got to feel your way around, but you see how it didn't stick to my hand because it was nice and wet. I'm just gonna work the meat around the egg. It's all sticking together. It's not crumbling apart as I try and wrap it. Is that? It's so easy. That took me what, 20 seconds? And then we're gonna go straight into the flour. Gently roll it around. We want to keep that shape. So if you're too rough with it, it can, turn into a rugby ball or have one big flat side. We don't want that. So from there, straight into the egg, straight into the breadcrumbs. Just give it a shake. So there's much larger flakes, and there's also much finer at the bottom. So if you shake, you get a nice mixture of the two. And there's the Scotch egg, ready for the fryer. This is vegetable oil, and I've got it about just over halfway. So maybe just under 2/3 up the pan. If you go too full, you'll put the egg in and it will be, it'll all come out, it'll boil over. And if you're using a gas stove, that's very bad. Nice neutral, you get it nice and hot, very clean. It's gonna make a nice crispy Scotch egg. And if you use olive oil, it's really strong in flavor and it's gonna kind of taste burnt. So we use vegetable oil, sunflower oil's good, some nice clean rapeseed oil, all good. And then I'm gonna use one of these. This is what we call in kitchens a spider, because it looks kind of like a spider's web. But you can use a spoon or like a slotted spoon if you've got it. Just make sure that it's good going into hot oil. Between 160 and 170 Celsius. Just get that straight in there. And it shouldn't be like bubbling, boiling, going mad. We want a nice slow fry on this, so we cook the sausage through. Everything is where we want it. The Scotch egg is actually touching the bottom of the pan, so I want to keep moving it around. Otherwise, that surface contact with the Scotch egg, that bit will brown much faster. You know, if you're having mates over, make a load of these. A few beers. But yeah, you'd usually find these down the pub. And if you go to a good pub, they're definitely making them themselves. Starting to brown. We want it to go further than this. All right, so this is where we want it. It's nice and crispy. Breadcrumbs are nice and brown, and the sausage should be cooked inside. It took about 3-4 minutes. Just straight onto a little rack here, just to let some of that oil drain off. So this is a bit of brown sauce we're gonna serve it with. It's like a sweet, sour, kind of funky, very classic British sauce. Made with lots of fruit and vinegar and sugar. So I didn't make this, always buy it because they make it better than you can. And I always use a serrated knife when you're cutting things with like a crunchy shell or like a loaf of bread, right? It's kind of similar, you've got a crust on the outside. So you want to use a serrated knife. See that, nice runny yolk? Oh my God, a beautiful rustic beer snack. So you'd have this with a pint down the pub, but I haven't got any draft at my house, so it's a can. This is a deviled Scotch egg, and it's probably the best beer snack in all of Britain. Sausage meat is full of flavour. That paste we added, spicy, sweet, sour, fatty from the sausage meat, it's delicious. So you make these at home, serve them nice and warm. They're not straight out of the packet from the shop. This is nice and crispy. You can see that the yolk is still nice and soft. Sausage meat's warm. They're just full of flavour. Ooh.